Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of It's Not All Rainbows. I'm your host, Lindsay Goodman. I'm a certified trauma recovery coach, and I'm also a survivor of abuse in a queer relationship. I'm here to help validate and support those who are or have been in my shoes and to help spread awareness of what these kinds of relationships can look like. Today, I'm going to talk to you about when you are in an abusive relationship and you lose your ability to make decisions. This is something that popped up on my Instagram memories last night, and I sort of did a couple of tweets about it. And I thought I would go ahead and talk about that one. It's been on my list for a while, so let's dive in. Before we begin, I apologize. I have been meaning to quote unquote do better for the people who watch my videos on YouTube because I just don't have a high quality video. I do have one. I do have a high quality camera that I purchased a couple months ago, and I always forget to put it on before I record. A lot of times, just because of the way my life works, I'm recording at the public library, or like last week, I recorded in my car. This week, I'm at my friend's house. We are actually in Idaho visiting some friends. We had a great time. Actually, this is going to be my struggles and successes. But the point of all that was to bear with me with the poor video quality. I know it's not fun to watch someone and you're like, why is it so grainy? Or, you know, when are you going to get a professional camera if you're making, YouTube podcast videos or whatever. So I apologize. But that's going to be my struggle and my success. My struggle is that we are in Idaho and my kid is sick. We got to my friend's house yesterday and he threw up, and he's got a fever. And so we're over here. She's got two kiddos. We're trying to keep them separate. Luckily, they go to school. She was going to keep them home so we could, spend some quality time together. But she was able to get them to school, and we're trying to like minimize the crossover contamination type stuff. Seems like he has a tummy bug, which is really unfortunate. Um, and so that's a struggle. But the success is just to keep it on the positive side. We're on vacation. Other than the sickness, we've had a great time. We're catching up with people that we haven't seen in a couple of years. And it's just been really incredible. And of course, we're more relaxed. Pip even came with us. She got to come on the flight. It's a really short flight, and she does pretty well. So she's here too, having fun with her doggy friends. Kiddo was having fun with his human, other kiddo friends, up until he got sick. So it's been really awesome, and I'm very thankful. If you don't know, I used to live in Idaho. My kiddo was born in Idaho, so Idaho is very special to me. But I have already decided that we're going to come back. A lot of times when I think about traveling, it's either to visit my family in Indiana, which I love visiting my family, but Indiana is not my favorite place, or it's to go on a big trip with my son. And I always forget that there are other special places. And of course, I have very special people here, and that this is a really good, um, close, easy option to get to when I need to get out of the rain or just get out of the house. So, very thankful for this trip despite the yuckiness. Okay, so let's dive in. The thing that came up on my Instagram memories was a picture that I had posted in my stories about my abuser choosing my clothing. And the odd thing about that, and one of the reasons why I chose to share it now, is to show how deeply ingrained um, the feedback and the information and the comments and things that they give us become. So when I posted that, I said something like, I think I already deleted it. The original post was, which one of us is stylish and which one of us always has to ask for help. Now, I wouldn't say my abuser is stylish or was stylish, and I wouldn't say that I wasn't. I do tend to dress pretty casual when I'm, with my kiddo or just kind of hanging out. But when I do make an effort, it's fine. I'm not a fashion blogger. I'm not, doing fashion shows or anything like that. But it's fine. It's there. It's not like you look at me and be like, "What's going on here?" But I had posted that and I was like, which one of us is the stylish one? And um, with a picture of my clothes. And I said, here's an example of Instagram versus reality when abuse is involved. I never picked out my own clothes. I was convinced I had no style, but I did when I met them. If I dressed myself, I was critiqued. It got to the point where I would get super anxious if I had to pick out my own clothes. Mostly if it was for an event or for a date or something like that. If we were going, we were going to be around people. I would panic because they picked out my clothing so often. Like I could get myself dressed for work, or if I was just going to take my kiddo. We did a lot of like outside the home, like special mommy kiddo time, like to get away, which I didn't realize at the time. But we'd go to the beach, we would go to some shops, we would do stuff like that, and I could dress myself just fine. But if they were going to be there, um, and other people were going to be around, I had to be dressed how they wanted me to be. And so I would panic because most of the time they would come in, they would like pick up my clothes and I would get dressed, or I would ask them, what should I wear today? They would pick it out and I would get dressed. But randomly they wouldn't pick it out. And so I'd come in and be like, what am I supposed to wear? And I'm sure that they like that panic because they're like, good, she doesn't know how to dress herself. Part of that is to keep you dependent on them. Because at this point you're like, well, I don't even know how to dress myself. I'm so pitiful. I need this person. I depend on this person. Like I made an Instagram post, like which one, like one of us has to have help. Oh, how cute. I need help getting dressed. I do not need help getting dressed. I have been dressing myself for 16 months now, and I did it before they came along. Um, and of course that's different from if I'm getting ready with a friend, I might come out and be like, do you like this or this? I'm feeling these, but like, what do you think, like the mood for tonight or whatever? Totally fine. Obviously, like getting feedback or asking your friends, like whatever, like what's the look, what are we going for tonight is totally fine. But, at this point, I just put on what I put on and it's fine. And I can do that now. But that was just one example of, losing your ability to make decisions and how you can become panicky or, nervous when you're trying to weigh in on that decision with no quote unquote guidance. You're just like, I have a closet full of clothes here. I could just grab something. This is too much. I'm overwhelmed. You sort of have this little breakdown. Another example is when my car broke down. And I might have mentioned this. I have a whole episode called like the day my car broke down. And I talk about the way that my abuser twisted the whole, like my misfortune and made it about them, which is a very common thing. But the point of this part of the story is that when my car broke down, I drove like an older Ford Explorer and it completely broke down. So what happened was that I had to make a fairly swift decision because I do work an hour away. I didn't want to give up a lot of work. Obviously, if I was buying a new car, I needed to have that income still coming in. Um, and I went and I looked at, I think, Hyundais, and there might have been something else that was on the line. I was about to buy a Hyundai. I test drove it. I liked it. But when it was time to sign the papers, I panicked. And I was like, I need time to think about this. I don't know what to do. And so then I was like, well, I think it's because I want a Subaru because my abuser drove a Subaru Forester that they had bought when they were with me. So sometimes I would drive their car. Um, they would let me drive their car, or I would drive. I always had to be the one to drive. They would never drive. So if we were going somewhere together, we took their car. I was the one driving their Subaru, and so I was used to that car. I did like it. It's a nice car, but I felt like that was a choice that I had to make. And so when I bought the Subaru, I was very calm. I was like, yes, this is what I'm going to buy. And they never told me. I'm kind of actually surprised that they like sort of allowed me to get a Subaru because it was, it's a different color. It was a different sort of style and things like that. 1 year newer model. But I'm surprised that they weren't like, no, you need to get something else because you can't be like me or something. I don't know. Um, or that's too lesbian. You need to get I don't know, like a Honda or something, because a lot of times they would say or do things to keep me from doing or, wearing sort of stereotypical lesbian things, which again, I say stereotypical because obviously there are people of every type that, are going to do what they want to do. And there's not just one way to be, right? There are people who are not queer who drive Subarus, and there are people who are queer who drive all kinds of different things. It's not it's just a stereotype. But anyway, I bought the Subaru and I love the Subaru and I'm very happy with the Subaru. Now 16 months later, I kind of wish, well, obviously I didn't have a lot of time to make that decision. Um, but I kind of wish that I had gotten one that had better gas mileage because I do drive a lot. Just based on where I live, I do a lot of driving to go do activities with my son and to go to work. And so it would be nice to have something that got me a little further on my gas. But it's a great car. Um, One thing that they did do was as soon as I got home, they saw it and they asked me if I wanted to trade cars, and I was like, I'll trade you if you take my payment, and I'll take your payment because they had a trade in, so they were doing okay. I did not have a trade in, so my payment's a lot higher than theirs, and of course they were like, oh no, but they were genuinely serious because my car was better. They liked my car better. I like my car better. They liked the color. They liked everything about it. They're like, why don't we just swap cars? I'm like, you gonna pay for it? Okay. Um, but those are two examples of one's a big decision and one's a small decision. But either way, you become so numb to making your own decisions, and you do become dependent on your abuser when they've been making decisions for you for so long? Who can you hang out with? When can you hang out with them? When do you need to be back home? Whether that it's explicit or implicit by, for example, if you hang out with someone and that they don't approve of, they might not say you can't hang out with that person, but when you come home, you're punished by silent treatment, or they'll guilt trip you when you're out. They'll be texting you going, I can't believe you went out. I can't believe you're still gone. Like, I'm home just sitting here by myself. Those kinds of things. Um, Again, what you wear, how much you work, what you do with your money, um, all kinds of things. What you eat, how much you eat. Maybe they're making comments about, you know, you need to eat this or you shouldn't be eating that, those kinds of things. So you get to the point where you're like, maybe you're about to bite into, I don't know, a scoop of ice cream and you're like, huh, they said I was gaining weight. I shouldn't be making this choice right now. Like you get this panic and you're just depending on them for, again, it can be really simple choices. It can be the most simple thing, but you have lost your ability to make decisions. And my guess is, maybe you're the kind of person who kind of does rely on other people's feedback. Maybe you call a parent a lot or you call a sibling and you're like, which plant would look good in my kitchen? Which rug would look better on my floor? Maybe you're like, I'm not that stylish, but I have a sister or a best friend who is. That's totally normal. Like, um, and there are certain things that we're going to be more comfortable making decisions about on our own, and there are some things that's like, I don't know, which one's which one's a better buy. Maybe this is a good buy, but it's not as good a quality, so I want this to hold up. Let me ask someone who might know a little bit more about this, and we'll see how this goes. But my guess is that before the abusive person came into your life, that you were able to make decisions on your own. And my guess is that if you are out like I am, you have returned to making decisions on your own. And you might still have some, um, like I have little moments of, for example, I was at one friend's house and I was going to transfer to another friend's house and I wasn't sure if I should do it Sunday night or Monday morning. What did they want me to do? Were these people satisfied with the visit and wanted me to move along? And were these people just like really happily waiting and they're like, when is she gonna come? Or were they both just like, I don't care, super chill, stay as long as you want, come when you want? I don't know. So I had this like, I don't want to let someone down. I don't know how to make this decision. And it was a very small problem. My friend who I was just with, when her son cries or has like an issue, she says, is it a big problem or a small problem? Um, which is pretty cool because obviously it helps you be like, oh yeah, okay, my toy got knocked over. I can pick up this toy. That's fine. Versus like, I'm never going to see this toy again or whatever. Anyway, that was a little side note, but um, I kind of got distracted from what I was saying. But I hope that that makes sense to you. That little example, so that you can relate to and understand that we're all different. 16 months, no contact, and I still have these little flashes of moments where it's like almost like paralyzing, like I don't know how to make a decision here. I don't know what to do. But like I said, I've been successfully making choices by myself without anyone else's feedback about what to do with my son for schooling, how often I need to work, what to do with my income, where I want to travel with him, what I wear, all of those things. And a lot of those things I don't even think about anymore. Like when I go to reach for clothing, I'm just grabbing something. Like, oh, I feel like wearing white today. Oh, it's cold out, so I'm gonna wear a sweater today. Whatever. No longer um, is it an issue for me to make decisions. So I really want you to think about that. Again, the fact that before you were probably fine, if you made it out, you're working on being fine again. If you're still in it, to know that that's true. That once you get away from this person, and obviously it takes time and the fog starts to clear and you start working on your healing, you will see that you are quite capable of making decisions and that you don't need someone sat there telling you what shoes to buy. And, I'm looking at my black pair of lace up Blundstones, which I love. They've been great shoes. My abuser picked out those shoes for me. And I don't think about that when I see them, but just because we're on this topic, I knew I wanted a pair of Blundstones. I was working on a flight line in the winter. It was cold. I needed waterproof boots. They owned a pair of Blundstones. So again, I was like, oh, I should get some Blundstones because that's what I know. That's what I'm seeing. That's easier than me researching like what kind of waterproof boots should I, because I was like depending on this person, right? And they picked out that style. I think I picked out that I wanted black. I'm a pretty solid. I do like the color black. I mean, I'm an interpreter. We use a lot of black in our. I just got done interpreting, so I have on my black shirt. Okay, well, my CVG little sports bra hanging out there. Um, sorry, podcast people, you're like, what is she doing? But yeah, I do love the shoes, but again, those were picked out for me. So you deserve to be able to pick things out for yourself. You deserve to be able to have the autonomy to make decisions on your own without being worried about it, without feeling like you're incapable of doing it. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I hope that's helpful. I hope that I, as with every podcast I create, I hope that you can't relate it, but my get relate to it. But my guess is that you probably can, and that's why you're here. And I hope that helps bring you some understanding and um, just validation that if you have experienced that, you're not alone. On that note, I'll go ahead and wrap this up and I will announce as usual, I offer one-on-one coaching. I'm a certified trauma recovery coach. I have 30 and 60-minute sessions as well as a 6-week package, which I highly recommend, especially if you're in it and you want to commit to getting out because obviously as survivors who are still being abused, it's very hard to commit to doing these sessions because you come, you get some validation, you get some education, but then you're still in it. That person's still in your ear. Um, I did not have a coach when I was leaving, but I would have done that same thing where I was like, I gotta get out, I need help. And then you sort of, I call it shoots and ladder. And I want you to know that that's completely normal for being in these situations. You're still being abused, you're still in your brain fog. But I do have that 6-week session for people who are like, nope, I'm doing this. Um, we're gonna work through this. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna get me out of here. I guess that should have been a success. I had my first client who left, and that's a huge success. Maybe I'll say that in the next episode. Um, I also offer text or email support to people who are already my clients. I've already met with you more than once. And you're not necessarily needing to, or maybe you're unable to do video sessions all the time. So you want some like check ins throughout the week, or it could be what do we want to call it? Like accountability check ins with me throughout the week. So maybe we had our meeting and you can't have another session for a while, but you just want to be able to talk to me, your coach, and be like, today I felt like texting them, but I didn't. I'm really proud of myself. I went for a walk instead, or something like that. So I have several options for you. And the last thing I want to share is that if you are LGBTQ like myself and Trey de la Torre offer a monthly support group. It's one Saturday a month for education, validation, support. Obviously, as queer folks, we have a little bit of a different experience in a lot of ways. Or there's that added layer of understanding and support when you get a group of us together. Um, we have had, well, by the time you listen to this, we will have had our third session. Our March session will have passed. So April will be the next session if you're listening to this. But yeah, every one Saturday a month we'll be hanging out. So please check that out. You can find all of that on my website, lindsaygoodman.com. Click on the coaching tab and you'll see all the different options there. So we would love to have you there. It's been really successful so far. And I think that people are getting a lot of, again, support and validation out of those. So we'd love to see you there. That is all for today. Please take care of yourself. Do something nice for yourself today, and go drink some water. I'll see you all next week.